Hello, and we're at it again. Another
Hello.
week, another week has gone by, and we're back. We're back in the geek studio. um, yeah, me and Susan have got together this weekend to discuss a movie from 1978, which won, I think it was 5 Academy Awards, the Oscars
Hmm.
back then, starring Robert De Niro, Meryl Streep, Christopher Walken, just to name three there. Um,
Yeah.
we are discussing, which some class as an epic movie, and a movie. What do they say? It's one of these ones what is highly rated. We are talking the Deer Hunter. This is about just over 3 hours long, I think it is. Um, it's a story of friendship. It's a story of war. It's a story of loss as well, um, to name other things as well. But mainly it's about friendship and the Vietnam War, how it affects these guys from this small town. I think is it in Pennsylvania?
It is.
Pennsylvania, yeah. So we'll go over to Susan. Her opening thoughts on the Deer Hunter.
Yeah, well, this one was my choice. I've never seen this movie before.
Oh, right. So also it's you're a Deer Hunter virgin then.
Yeah, and I was amazed at this movie. This was this is Christopher Walken acting his socks off. I mean, he had hardly any dialogue in this movie at all. His speech was very subdued. I mean, the classic Christopher Walken speech pattern completely missing. Oh my gosh, he was just a different fellow. It was just amazing. And he played this guy named Nick, and Nick had recently gone through some trauma, and then it married his girlfriend, and there was a lot of like this Eastern Orthodox churchy thing going on. And so like this is really a contrast between Milltown life in Pennsylvania and war life in Vietnam. It's like it's like kind of a triptych. There's like it seems like there's almost three exactly equal parts. Like there's the first part, which is all, you're beginning to get to know these characters, but they're already long term in their relationships with each other. There's there's a they have a spoken dialogue that they or a spoken dialect that they share with each other, and there are some catchphrases and things that they use that are just like long term built in their friendships. And then there's this thing that's all about the Vietnam War, and that was all like it, it was all about playing Russian roulette for some reason. It wasn't really about too much about the battles in the jungle or in the forest or whatever. It was more about these insane psychological games played by the Viet Cong
Mm-hmm.
through the methodology of the Russian roulette game. And I guess the counterpoint to that was Vincent Canafali's character. What was his name? His name was, or John Cazale, sorry. And his name was I can't remember right now. Hang on.
Stanley.
Stanley, yeah. He had a revolver and he was always playing with it. He brought it with him on deer hunting things. He didn't wear proper clothing with him, but
Mm.
he always had this, he didn't plan for anything. He just always had this gun with him. I mean, it was like he was like this guy who wanted to be Stanley wanted to be known as like a guy, a shoot 'em up kind of guy. I don't know. It's just like that.
Well, for me, I'll if I can put in here,
Yeah,
Stanley for
sure.
me was he was a sort of an outsider to the rest of the guys, but he wanted to be like them. He wanted to be with them, and but he was always the outsider of the gang.
Oh, okay.
That's what how I felt. He was always trying to impress.
Hmm.
He was always trying to impress. What's it? De Niro's character, Mike.
Yeah, I mean he and I guess then that's why he wore his tuxedo with him to go deer hunting. I mean it was just like these guys dressing up in their finery and then playing Russian roulette in the jungle or in the city, Saigon City in Vietnam. I don't know. There was just like that was one of those counterpoints that I saw, like this, and there were three like equal parts. The third part was they went home and then they had to go back. Sort of, there was a lot of this going back or trying to find the other members of this group, this friendship group, and one had ended up with two legs amputated, and then one was Nick had been sort of brainwashed and was stuck in this tribe of people who are playing Russian roulette all the time.
He'd
He even
become he'd become a cocaine addict as well, with the all the lines on his arms.
Oh, that was cocaine.
Hmm.
All right, I thought it was heroin.
Could have been heroin. I don't know. It's a drug.
Yeah, he definitely was a druggie, and
Yeah.
but I mean, he was brainwashed. I mean, he didn't really recognize his situation anymore,
Mm.
and he shifted from wearing the U.S. Army, even the fatigues or whatever, whatever his uniform was, into wearing a white like button down shirt with like a really nice white button down shirt. That's why I'm saying he looked a lot like Stanley did. Only he was wearing the red headband that all the other players were wearing.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a strange thing because here Stanley had worn the tuxedo all the way from Nick and Angela's wedding all the way to the deer hunting thing.
It wasn't Nick's wedding.
Oh, it was the
It was
Savage, the character played by Savage,
it was Stephen and
Stephen and Angela.
was it yeah, it was Angela. Yeah, Stephen and Angela. They got
Uh,
married.
all right, Stephen. Never mind. Then Stephen was but he'd worn this suit all the way from the wedding, all the way up into the deer hunting thing, into the mountains.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, he didn't even have a backpack. I mean, that's just whack. And okay. So there was another, and Nick had lost. He didn't have any of his military accoutrements. No backpack. No. no uniform, no nothing warm, nothing cold, no boots, anything. All he had was a bandana and a white button down shirt and some trousers. And I don't know. It was I was like, God, he looks like Stanley did just a few just in the first hour of the movie. And that was the other thing. It was like the first hour was this, the second hour, and the third hour. And so there's lots of this rule of threes business that the scriptwriters were using, and I liked that, and it was that felt really satisfying in terms of storytelling.
Mm.
And the other thing that was really good about this story was I just love the actors. I love Robert De Niro, and I love Steve Cazale. This was his last movie, but the one I mean, he'd been in some Godfather 1 and 2 before this, and I just love those. So like that was good.
Yeah, he was dying during the filming of this movie. He had lung cancer.
Oh Jesus, I had no
And
idea.
he carried on working through this movie. He died. And
Wow,
Meryl Streep was by his side when he died. Um,
wow.
this movie was released after his death, of course. Yeah, he'd only made about 5 movies.
And the ones that he made were these
Yeah,
hugely
yeah,
important movies.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Oh,
it would get character actor, you know. It's he was only in his 40s.
oh man.
Um,
Anyway, I really like him, and the other thing is the I mean the fact that it didn't I mean it did go into it a little bit, but it didn't go into it all the way. Uh, the war, the Vietnam War, that
mhm.
was. I mean, I was kind of gearing up for a Full Metal Jacket, a platoon type deal. I was just like, oh my god, this is going to be horrible. It was pretty horrible.
Yeah,
I
it
mean
was.
that torture technique of locking people in a box in the water.
Mm.
That I've never. Geez, that was incredible. And I think in retrospect, I had seen that part. I think that they showed that part in film school
I think
because,
it
of
might.
course, they a lot of people class this as like an epic.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my opening thoughts. What about you? Oh,
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that it seemed to like be in 3 parts because I got that idea rewatching it. You had the town, the wedding, then there was all went off to Vietnam. There was all that happening. Then they said the return home, um, and the outcome of the war. With Stephen losing his legs
mhm.
and Nick sending money. You see, this is what I don't understand. If Nick couldn't remember, if he was brainwashed, he couldn't remember Mike. How did he remember to send money?
Maybe because he'd already made the envelopes.
I don't know, but I
Yeah,
was watching.
that was a little interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um,
good catch.
De Niro, brilliant as Mike, um, and he was a last-minute replacement in this movie.
Yeah, for who?
2 weeks before shooting started, Roy Scheider
Oh,
supposed to be in the role,
oh, I see.
but, sh- but he was dropped because of, shall we say, creative differences.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I saw this movie way back for the first time way back in the early 80s. Um,
Oh yeah.
and it hasn't got shorter. It hasn't got shorter with age.
No.
Um,
There
it
are
is a
some slow bits, that's for sure.
yeah. I mean, the build up of getting to know the main characters is a little bit slow at times, and then you've got the wedding, you've got all that, which so then you hit the road running soon as it goes into the Vietnam section. Um, and then
Yeah,
the big
there's an
shit.
explosion like the 10 seconds in, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I say then the court out there, and of course we're forced to play Russian roulette, which could send anybody over the edge.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, it's. I mean, they say people say it's a classic, it's an epic. I can understand why, because it's well acted. As I
Uh-huh.
said, the Academy must have thought it's a brilliant movie, giving it five awards. Um, but for me, it's the acting. I mean, I've always loved De Niro. I've always loved Walken. You know, they're up there with the Pacinos and people like that.
Mm,
I just love them type of actors. But great, it's raw, the raw feeling, emotions in this.
yeah, no kidding.
Um, as you say, you got Meryl Streep in this as well. Not a big part for her really, because
No.
she's just playing what's her name? Where is it? Cast name
Linda.
Linda, um, who's betrothed to Nick, but ends up she's also had an affair with Michael, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
You know, close knit community. um, yeah, I mean to call the movie The Deer Hunter as well. You think, oh,
Yeah.
why is it? Because they go hunting. And it's is it a film about De Niro's character? Is it a film about Walken? I think it's to say it's about the effects of war. Me personally, and the way everybody was cheering them, shaking hands. Good luck because they've been called up to go to Vietnam. Do us proud. And now history has proven what did you get out of Vietnam? What was the end goal gained from Vietnam War?
Yeah.
Yeah, just loss of life. Um,
Limb and sanity.
yeah,
And all three of those that though there's another like three parts: life, limb, and sanity. Uh Nick
yeah.
lost life. Uh
Steve's lost limbs.
Steve lost limbs, and you can argue that De Niro's character lost sanity.
Mm. I
Or
mean,
you can argue that Nick lost sanity before that, but yeah. Anyway.
the scenes with the Russian roulette scenes, the first section in Vietnam where they're prisoners of war, with that where he's telling Stephen to pull the trigger, just pull the trigger. Um, it's so intense them scenes, and then later on when Mike goes back to find Nick, and he's sort of the champion Russian roulette player there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that those scenes as well, where he pays money to face off him in a Russian roulette game. That could have gone halfway. That could have, Mike could have just blown his brains out.
Yeah.
I mean, just great acting, and then set that as well with the music. The theme tune to the Deer Hunter is called Cavatina, and it's played by classical guitarist. John Williams, not the film composer John Williams,
Oh, okay.
an English guitarist John Williams, who was part of a prog rock group back in the 70s called Sky.
Nice.
And the power, I mean, so the guitar, the it's just a brilliant piece of music, Cavatina.
I didn't really recognize it, but I'll look it up.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Played by John Williams.
I didn't notice that there was too much like ambient timely music, so that this really didn't have to be of a time. It was pretty like just the movie itself was timeless.
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's set. We know when the Vietnam War happened and all, so it was set then. But as you say, it's dated well.
Yeah,
It's timeless. It doesn't look too shabby.
it's no, it's very timely. In fact,
Yeah.
I mean, this could be the story of people coming back from Afghanistan or Iraq or
Any war, what's pointless?
yeah. Later on, just a little later on in the UK, the Falklands for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that was pretty pointless, really. I mean, we're still on the Falklands, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
So, anything more you want to go and say about?
Oh, I just think that oh cool. I just think that the I think that you get to the point where everybody's tired of all the death,
Mhm.
and so that's why uh Mike's his name. That's why Mike lets that huge buck go.
Yeah,
I mean, it was that scene was redone with Queen Elizabeth II in the movie The Queen, right after the scene where Princess Diana died,
yes.
and she has him in. She has her great big buck in her sights. She lets him go.
Mm.
I just think that I mean, and then she goes and she finds out that somebody from another anyway, that I guess that's when the the similar verisimilitude ends. But the other thing that's really interesting about it is the fact that in terms of like the war, when you're looking at the steel mill, I mean those when you're looking at the work in the steel mill, it so much reminds me of a war,
Mm.
because it's all of those things are on fire. They're super noxious. They've got terrible I mean, there's just terrible amounts of heat and danger. It's all dangerous. And that just reminded me that was really I mean, when you look at that, the first part of the movie, and then you look at Vietnam, it makes Vietnam seem not as bad as that. So he must have
Mm.
been trying to say, listen, I know all you all went off to war, but the people who stayed here in the steel mill, they had a fucking hell of a time, because this is just a son of a bitch. This work is so hard for us. And I mean, that's to me, that was an interesting way of representing that, because the screen would go almost completely black except for the rivers of molten steel, the molten iron, and like these big shiny points of stuff, and then these men in their silver suits. You know, you could barely see anything except for like this dangerous stuff. I don't know, like that was just I thought that's what he was saying. I thought that's what the filmmaker was saying, like, war, that's pretty dangerous, but so is working in a steel mill.
Mm.
And I guess I can kind of buy it. And the other thing is uh the similarities between the women that they wanted to show, like Angela and Linda and everybody, there were women in Vietnam that they were kind of contrasting that with also.
Mm.
The one woman who was like, come into my parlor, I'll you know, you can have me at this price or whatever. And her baby's in the crib right next to the bed, and Mike couldn't do it at that point because the kid was right there. It was just too close to home.
Mm.
And I thought that was really interesting. Like, and I bet you really liked the shower scene of the in the dry. Uh,
No.
the anyway,
Why?
because there's a bunch of burly naked guys in there. I don't know.
I did. I did. I did read up. You know, when I said about John Cazale, um, his movie. He never saw the finished movie.
Oh,
His
shame.
time. This apparently all this. I've just seen it here. All the scenes with Stanley were filmed first, but the film studio wanted to release him because of his illness.
Oh,
So
shame.
wanted to dismiss him, but Streep, she was in a relationship with him at the time.
Oh,
Uh, she threatened to walk off the movie. So did the director, Simino. He threatened to walk if they did that to the actor.
oh, wow.
Um, apparently he was uninsurable
Well,
because of
they before the Affordable Care Act in Obama's presidency, you could be deemed uninsurable if you had a pre-existing condition.
but
That's
De Niro,
awful.
apparently De Niro paid his insurance.
Oh,
He wanted him in the movie.
oh gosh, now I love Robert De Niro and Meryl Streep ever even more.
So you got to say, you know, with De Niro, Streep, and the director, if it wasn't for those three,
Yeah,
it would have been a completely different movie.
yeah. And I'm really
Uh,
glad that he got to finish it. I mean, he was a, like I said, everything that he touched turned to gold. Everything that he was in was,
but yeah, it's a daring, powerful picture.
you know,
Not what you expect from a Vietnam movie, which I'm quite happy with because you can overdo the Vietnam War movies. You know,
yeah, like I said, it
this
could have
took a
been like Tropic Thunder,
yeah,
Platoon. Uh,
but this took a different view
yeah,
of war over there, which included Russian roulette, which for me was the most powerful scene in the movie.
and torture and a new torture technique that I'd never heard of. Sticking
So
people in a box and putting them underwater. Oh my god. That just trips me out.
Well, no, because they put them in the cages, because the rivers rise, don't they, as well? So you
Of
have to keep
course,
your head above the water. But if you're in a cage and the rivers are rising, you're brown bread. You're dead. So
brown bread. Is that Cockney rhyming slang?
yeah.
Nice. All right.
Brown bread.
So,
Brown bread,
anyway,
you're dead.
what?
Brown bread, you're dead.
Yeah, yeah. Sure, I get it now. So the yeah, even if the cage was rising, I mean, there was tons of crazy creatures in the water. You
Rats.
know, there were rats, there were leeches. You had people getting out of their, after they crawl across the river, and like, and you'd see their they take off their trousers or whatever and try to change into some dry clothes, and they'd be covered with leeches,
Mm.
and I just like, oh my gosh.
I mean, the final scenes in this movie as well, after Nick's funeral, where they all head back to the bar
Uh-huh.
and they start singing. Is it "God Bless America"?
Uh-huh.
And that's where they finish the movie.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, but it does pull at your heartstrings that a bit. Here's to Nick, and then starts singing "God Bless America."
Yeah.
God bless America for what though?
Huh.
Because they have, they've lost lives, they've lost limbs, they've lost friends.
Yeah.
God bless America.
And they've lost their sanity.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say about the Deer Hunter?
um Excellent work, Mr. Semino. I will try and find other things that you produced and directed and watch them.
Cool. What else has he done? Shall we just check on him? Where are
Sure.
we? Michael Cimino. He's no longer with us. He passed away in 2016. Let's have a look. Filmography.
Silent Running, Magnum Force, Thunderbolt, and Lightfoot,
Yeah, Heaven's Gate, Year of the
Heaven's
Dragon,
Gate.
Desperate
My next
Hours.
door neighbor in Montana was an extra in that. She was one of the horsemen in that one.
Nice. So really, he didn't do that many movies.
Sun
One, two.
Chaser.
I mean, The Deer Hunter was his second movie.
Yep.
Wow.
The Sicilian. I've never seen Heaven's Gate, even though my neighbor was in it. That's something. I gotta watch that.
Cool. So,
Um,
what would you give it then? Your final sales score. What would you do? What would you rate this?
all right. Well, having not seen the whole thing, and maybe not seen, I just don't know if I do remember that scene of them in the cages. I would give this. I'd give this 9.5. I'd give this 9.5 wedding cakes out of 10.
Hmm. For me, the thing what does let it down, and this is why the score's gonna, because is the length of the movie.
I know.
Because as you mentioned in the discussion, there is some slow bits in this.
Uh-huh.
Um, and for what was it, 3 hours or over 3 hours, it can drag a little bit, and especially at the beginning. For a movie to have dragging at the beginning of a movie
Huh.
could put people off.
Uh-huh.
So for that reason and that reason alone, I'm giving it a 9.
I bet you that's that 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 was maybe the reason that Heaven's Gate. I think that's I'll double check this whole thing, but I think that maybe Semino writes movies that start off too slow.
Yeah,
Because I was
yeah. I'll give it 9. I'll
go
give it
on.
9. I'll give it 9 books out of 10, and I don't mean money because it's called a deer hunter. You see,
Uh-huh.
books.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so that's our review of the classic 70s movie, The Deer Hunter. You guys, if you've seen it, leave a message below and let us know what you thought of the movie. If not, go away and watch it and come back and tell us. Um, if you like to join us in our casts or join our group, we're on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, of course, and Insta and stuff like that. Leave a message below if you want to join us on any of those social medias. Just let us know, because you need to be 18 plus. Because I say this movie was an 18 plus, so it's just things what we review and talk about. They do have age restrictions on them, so
That's true.
we can't have a 15-year-old talking about something what's full of blood and guts, and because we could have the parents playing up hell, merry hell, couldn't we?
Yeah, it's true.
It's true. The kids having nightmares because you watched a movie you told him to watch. Um,
Yep.
so yeah, so if you want to join us, it's 18 plus. We use the Zoom app. It's totally free. All you need is a laptop or a PC or a tablet or a mobile phone, as long as it's got a camera and a microphone, and you're in. That's all we need. And just let us know if you want to be in. So I think that's it, isn't it? Oh yeah. Oh no, one more thing. Bell notification on the YouTube channel. Please press that when you subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notified every time we put up a video. So that is all our Geeks Assembled Information Bureau, all done.
Mm-hmm.
So until next time, we'll be signing off. We'll be seeing you, but please be safe.